everyone, welcome. Welcome back if you're new. If you're a returning subscriber, if you're new, then welcome all the way. This is a channel about cross-stitching. I am Reader Marie from Reader Marie Stitching Adventure. And today we have a Flosstube special where I'm gonna do a WIP parade. And that means, one, it's going to be a long one, so you probably should find something to do. Two, you might see me in a different t-shirt and stuff like that, because I might need to film this over several days. So I won't look the same through the whole thing, I don't think. And three, you probably should find more than one thing, because this is going to be a long one. I started the year with 115 projects. I went into this year, this is 2021, with the goal of doing no new starts. So I started a bunch of stuff in 2020 at the end. On top of that, at the beginning of 2020, there was different challenges I did with friends, like it was, I don't remember the English name, but where you have 29 days in February, that happens only every fourth year. So on the 29th each month, we had a new start. I also did Stitch Mania in 2020, my own way, but still that added on a lot of projects. And by the time Mania ended, I was pretty sure I was going to do no new starts. So in between stitching on Epic Pokemon, because that was the year I finished Epic Pokemon, I started a bunch of new stuff. So I don't have 115 projects to show you, because some of them are finished, and I will do a finish parade at the end of the year, hopefully. So everything I have finished, you will see then. And most likely this is going to be a reoccurrence of me doing a WIP parade around September, October each year, instead of right at the end. Because for me, the 2 last months of the year is super busy. Like super duper busy. I don't have much stitchy time, no nothing. That's also why when I did WIP Go this year, I planned for it to be finished in October, and now it is. Except for the last numbers need to be spun, but everything I have done the challenge I set for myself. So, yeah. My plan is to do this in chronological order, because that's how my brain works. That's how I like to do my WIP parades. I'm doing them not only for you, but for myself, because it's a nice way to see what I have, see them in order, how far I am on each project, and when they were started and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try and give most of the information to the best of my ability. If there is something I am missing, or if there's something you can't quite catch what it was I was saying, I have a wound on my lip. I managed to cut myself with a paper. Don't ask how I did that, but I did. I sent some envelopes in the mail and I cut myself. So I have a little wound, so it might be why I'm talking a little bit weird. I'm trying not to. So yeah, Remember, multiple projects, and I'm gonna do this in chronological order. And another information before we get going, I'm gonna do the projects I'm either I'm gonna UFO, or I'm thinking of maybe UFOing. I'm gonna do those first. So those will be in chronological order when those were started, just the UFO, maybe UFO pile, and then the rest of the projects I know I'm gonna have in 2022 will be in chronological order, except for the ones I am UFOing. If you don't know what UFO stands for, it stands for unfinished objects. And in cross-stitching, we use it normally when we either totally stop stitching on a project, like scrapping it, or if we lay it to the side and don't have any plans of picking it up in a long time. And very often the project you will put to the side and don't pick up again, they will usually get scrapped. So it's like a temporary prison for your projects that you don't like, or yeah. So, but some of these I know I'm gonna be restarting, so that's why I say UFO, because I am gonna stitch on them, but I'm gonna restart them. So I think that was all I needed to say to you before we get started. And we really should, because I have just pulled out my 2017, 2018, and 2019 projects I have. And the pile is big. And then we haven't even touched 2020, which is even bigger. So yeah. Enjoy. I have a new microphone because my husband has started streaming. So if you suddenly see like weird colors, this is it. It changes colors. Like now it's turning green, red. Yeah, there you can see it. So it's a little bit distracting. My husband started streaming, so he wanted a new microphone. I wanted a new microphone because the one on the camera I'm filming with wasn't very good. It was picking up some noises that it wasn't supposed to do, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. So we're trying this out. Hoping it works perfectly. I did a test. It sounds like it's doing what it's supposed to do. So fingers crossed that this will go well. It's currently 11 p.m. So it's late. That's why you're probably gonna have this goofy side of me, because the later it gets, the more just crazy my brain gets. And I get very giggly laughing about everything. So this is going to be fun, right? But being a mom, having a husband, I don't have the luxury to just film whenever I want. So we're just gonna start doing this. So let's get going. The projects I am going to restart, UFO or scrap, is in this pile. And first one out is Esmeralda by Pinky the Pink. I will input picture of what it's going to look like. And this is how far I got. One of the big problems with this is it's supposed to be stitched on 32 count. no, 38 count and not 32 count, but there is a bunch of beads in this. There is also a lot of skin, which I like to do 1/1, but this is blended floss, so I am considering maybe going for a 22 count, no, 28 count, just to try and do the skin 2/1. I might be able to do it on 32 count, but this is a 38 count, and it's picture this plus, it has shrunk a whole bunch, and when I see like where the beads and stuff are going to be, it's just not happening. It's just not happening. I started in the middle. I hate starting in the middle. So this will be started at another time. I don't know when, but it will be started at a later time. And done then. So I might do another of the Pinky the Pink princesses first, the Hannah Alexander Disney princesses, just to kind of not go from one thing I really hated and start it over again, and if that doesn't end up being good, like, I don't want to scrap a project several times, because then it just get cursed. So yeah, that one is going to be restarted at some time. I don't know when. The next one I'm going to restart, I don't have with me because it's currently unavailable. That's fun. But I will insert a picture of what it would look like at the end if I continued, and where it was when I UFO'd it. And it's Tinkerbell by Creatively Crafting, and it's stitched on an 18 count white Aida. I believe I did the black 3/1 and everything else 2/1. Full cross, I don't really like it, and there's a lot of them because it was a stitch along she did. And there's a lot of different ones. So my plan is to do it on a lower count. Much lower count. I might even consider doing it 10 stitching. So yeah, that's basically the plan. I don't know when that will happen. And I might, instead of doing Tinkerbell again, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do Jack and Sally from A Nightmare Before Christmas first, because those were the ones I loved and really wanted to do. But Tinkerbell was the first one we got, and because of the fact I hated just stitching on it, on the Aida with the 3 strands of black, even though that was the perfect coverage, and all that kind of stuff. I never got around to getting it done before Jack and Sally came out, and when they came out, those were the ones I wanted to stitch, but I didn't want to start them until Tinkerbell was done, so Instead, I'm gonna scrap Tinkerbell for now and do Jack and Sally, and I'm gonna find a lower count to do it on. The third project this one I'm thinking about UFOing or restarting. And the reason is, first I can say which one it is. It's the Story Keep Pocahontas by Heaven and Earth Design, artwork by Melanie Dellin. This is what it should look like in the end. And here I am now. So first off, it started on 22 count 1/1, and it's just a tiny bit too sparse for me. I do like my full coverage project to not show any white, and this one you can really see it. On top of that, I had to frog like 3,000 stitches on this because I had stitched a whole bunch, and then I realized that the pattern I had got was wrong. So I contacted Heaven and Earth, and they didn't treat me very well, but at the end I managed to put my foot down, and I got the new charted version of the project. So I had to frog a good chunk and restitch. And then we all remember the whole 08-09 fiasco from Heaven and Earth Design. And yes, it's Heaven and Earth Design's fault. They are responsible for selling their products, so they are responsible for making sure that they will look good in the end. And this has 09 and 08. And the way she has fixed it with not resharding the whole thing, just taking those colors out and putting in another color, it doesn't look good at all. Like, it doesn't look good on the mock-up, because now we have pattern keepers, so we can see how it's going to look like. And I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed. In a way, I want to give it a try because it was a short I got from a friend. So in a way, I want to do it, but at the same time, I don't think I'm gonna be happy with how it's looking. And then, what's the point if it's going to look awful? And if I'm gonna keep stitching on this, I have like 300 stitches all around her hair and stuff that needs to be frogged out and restitch with a different color before I can continue. So that's why I'm really on the fence what I'm going to do with it. I already fudged the background somewhat because I didn't want to frog 4,000 stitches the first time, because I had 4,000 stitches. Instead I frogged 3,000 stitches, fudged the edges where the rest of the 1,000 stitches at the top were, and then continue stitching. And I basically stopped and didn't pick it up because there was colors in the hair that just didn't look right. It's not picking up on the camera, but it's a really like light brown, and that's the 08 and 09 messing up, not looking good at all. So I stopped basically pulling it out because I didn't like how it ended up looking. So yeah, there's a big chance this is going to be scrapped, and I'm not even sure if it's going to be restarted. I was also thinking the only thing I'm considering is maybe stitching a little bit longer down, get her face and neck part, and then just cut off the picture. But I'm not sure. I really don't know what to do. And the last two is on the same piece of fabric. And if you watched my stitch with me, I did a little while back, the one where I show tent stitching, you know why. So this is Once Upon a Fairy Tale by Heaven and Earth Design, artwork by Amy Stewart. And Magic Study by Heaven and Earth Design by Rose Khan. This is what Once Upon a Fairy Tale is looking. And this is what Magic Study is looking like. So, Once Upon a Fairy Tale, I started in the top right corner doing 1/1 full cross. On 30, this is a 32 count easy grid by Swigert. And I do like how it's looking. I wanted to try it out on 32 count, 2/110 stitch, and the coverage is amazing, but this is a max color version, regular max color, so it's really confetti heavy, and it's just it's too bulky, and I can kind of see like that because of the bulk, the fabric is warping, or has started to warp somewhat. So yeah. And my thinking is if I restart this on a different fabric, maybe a tiny bit higher count, I could use this use this piece, it's like the whole yard, to instead do the Tinkerbell and the Jack and Sally, the stained glass Disney style, do the different ones on this one. I'm pretty sure I can maybe fit like 3 in the width and still have room in between. And then you have a long way down to go. But doing that, I most likely also then are going to have to restart Magic Study. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what to do, because as I said, doing it over 1 on 32 count, it looks amazing. The coverage is really good. So, but I had hoped to do this tent stitching to make it go a little bit faster. So, and if you get a little bit higher, if you get a lower count, like there's less holes in an inch, I had hoped to maybe it doesn't get so bulky on the back. Because one of the issues is when you have on the back part the thread jumping all over the place, even if it's parking or cross country, that doesn't matter. You still will have this issue, is that you have two strands going on the back on top of having two strands on the front, and that just makes too much bulk. Because when I do it over one full cross, there isn't any bulk at all. Like, there's no bulk. Even though this is super confetti heavy, there's next to no bulk. The bulk is happening with the 10 stitch, and especially since you get even more floss on the back. So yeah, either I'm gonna continue doing it over one, full cross, or it's going to be restarted. So for now, this is going to be UFO'd until I know what to do with it. And I kind of want to save this big piece of fabric if it's if I find another use than the stained glass style, if I decide to scrap it. So most likely whatever I'm doing with Once Upon a Fairy Tale, I would do the same thing with Magic Study. So yeah. So those are going to be UFO'd. And I just have to see what I'm going to do this year. I'm not starting anything new. So next year, my plan is that maybe some of the new starts I'm gonna have. I know one of them is going to be one of, I have some Disney projects I really want to do. And hoping to test out some other fabric counts to see if they work better on the with so many colors going on. Okay, now we can start the WIP parade with the projects you're going to see in 2022. Okay, first out is Minnie Still Here by Hade. Artwork is by Cindy Nilsson, and this is what it's going to look like in the end. And this is how far I got. And hopefully you also saw a picture of what it was at the beginning of the year. So yeah, I have gotten a lot done. Actually today I reached 2 page finishes. So I got page 3 and page 2 done. I just have had a little bit here at the wing and a little bit in her hair right here to fill in to like get the page finish because it was really close. But because of the way I'm stitching, it takes a little bit longer. So yeah. And I do like how it's starting to look. It doesn't look that good in reality, but it looks really good on camera. I'm always surprised over how good it looks on camera. The details and everything. It looks really good. So this is one of my zombie run pieces, so there's gonna be a lot more work in 2021 this year on it, and it's also going to continue being my focus one of my focus pieces in 2022 because it's my oldest WIP. And for the people that have been with me for a while know that I do focus always on my oldest project, unless there's something special to get that done. That was started in 2017. It's on a 25 count easy guide swagger, and I started it because earlier that year I had a friend that ended her own life, and she was a believer that she was gonna be an angel, and I'm not religious anymore. Growing up in a very religious household made it so I have stopped believing. Let's just say that. So, but I like the fact that she believed she was going to be an angel, and for me, she is an angel through everybody she touched when she was alive, because the person she was a really kind person, and that shaped everybody else around her to be a little bit nicer. And the fact that everybody she touched then became a little bit nicer means she's basically an angel. Like, she made it so that other people could find kindness and goodness in their hearts and show it and give it to other people. So yeah. Next up is a project I haven't touched in a long while. It's Winter Queen by Mirabilia, and this is what it's going to look like and what it was at the beginning of the year. And this is where we are at now. As you can see, I didn't do a thing this year. That's because I'm focusing on another Mirabilia project to try and get that done. And that project I'm doing twice. So, yeah, she has been put on hold for a long while. But she is my second oldest project now. So, there's a good chance in 2022 I will have two Mirabilia projects that I am focusing on. She was started the 30th of December of 2017. She's stitched on a 32 count Belfast linen swagger. The name is Pearl Lurex. So it's an opalescent fabric. Then we're done with 2017. I only have two projects left in 2017. So that's also why I kind of want to start focusing on Winter Queen so I can get both of those done. Hopefully, maybe next year. I'm not sure because there's still a lot to do on both of them. So yeah. Now we have 2018. Maui Princess. It's a freebie by Heaven and Earth Design, and the artwork is by Hannah Lynn. And this is how it's going to look like and what it was at the beginning of the year. This is what I had at the beginning of the year, but then I decided to turn the fabric around and start over again on the same piece of fabric. It's just because I didn't want to frog before I started stitching. So that bottom part, it's going to be frogged. I already have like removed the part thread I had there, and I'm kind of hoping that it slowly will unravel itself. It isn't. So yeah, this is where I'm at. I am now doing this 2/1 10th stitch on 28 count white Murano, I think. And I love how it's looking. I absolutely love it. I do love doing 10th stitching on this one. This one, because I loved it so much, was the reason I tried 10th stitching on my Once Upon a Fairy Tale. The only thing I don't like, I started in the top right corner, and what I have found, it's better to start for me in the top left corner when I'm doing 10th stitch. So next time this is being pulled out and worked on, I'm gonna jump over to either work my way over to the left corner or jump and start on the left corner and work the pattern from there. I think it works a lot better because there's a lot of big bulks of colors in the sky. And then for that, 10 stitching is really nice, like when you have big blocks of color. I don't like 10 stitching as much when there's a lot of confetti. So there's some confetti happening right here. That's the flower she has in her hair. So, but I do really like how it's looking. So, and I love those blue colors. That's very me. So yeah, this is a project I went from not liking at all, because I had started 1/1 full cross and I didn't like it on this fabric at all, but doing 10 stitch on this fabric it's just amazing. So I'm not sure why. But okay, next up is Cinderella in Rags and Riches by Joan Elliott Designs. It's from a magazine, and it's two projects in one that is was meant so that you're able to stitch it as one big project. So I will insert a picture what it will look like and where I was at the beginning of the year. And this is where I'm at now. She is stitched on 32 count Monaco Swigert. This is actually the same fabric that Maui Princess is stitched on, so she's stitched on 32 count, not 28 count. And I hand dyed this fabric myself. And I'm stitching it 1/1 mostly. No, 1/2 mostly. Because I really like the more sparse look over in Cinderella in Rags. The skin and the sky is 1/1. The sky I converted myself So this is not how it's supposed to be. I put it in because of the pink fabric. I didn't like pink in the window. So I'm converting in different blue shades plus white to give like a sky look. And then Cinderella in Rags, her hair is actually stitched 2 over 2. So you can see it's a lot more depth in her hair. And I just like how that is looking. Like the difference between them two. You get a lot of dimensions in it. So the first top part of Cinderella in Rags are totally done, backstitching and everything. And then I started on Cinderella in Breeches. Then we have Alice in Wonderland series by Brooks Books. And I will insert a picture of what all the characters will look like and where I was at the beginning of the year. And this is where I'm at now. So I'm working my way over to the right side. And I'm doing all of them on one long piece of fabric. I have decided the order myself, how I want to do them. The fabric is on 18 count Aida that I hand dyed myself. Then we come to May, where I did a reward system for Mania, where if I finished one of the projects I have put a goal to finish in 1 week, then I could start a new project when that first one was done. And if I did all of them, I could have like one big start at the end of May. And this is all that's left from that Mania. It's that one big project. So this is the Possibilities by Heaven and Earth Designs. Artwork is by Walking Melons. And I will input a picture of what it will look like in the end. And this is where I'm at. So I haven't worked on it this year at all so far, but I do like how it's looking. And I'm doing, as you can see, I started doing the diagonal method, and then I have gone over to do like my diagonal method. So yeah, it looks really good. It's the regular size max color, and it's not so confetti heavy because there's a lot of black background. At least so far, it's not that confetti heavy. Most likely it's going to be when I get more into the different evolutions. So this is also very often known as the evolutions, because it's the different evolutions you can get from Eevee, with Eevee in the middle, if you are familiar with Pokemon. And it's stitched on a 28 count easy count swagger. Then we have stitch along. I started with Stitching Mommy, or more like a start along. It's she made a conversion, I got her conversion, I then ended up tweaking it, making my own, sending back what I had done to her, and I think she tweaked her a little bit depending on like what I had done. And we ended up with two very similar but still different conversions. Because a lot of the colors are from the Eliza Belcox floss pack you could get from Victorian Model Samplers when that was going on. So I will insert a picture of what it will look like. And this is where we're at. I haven't worked on this year. This is actually the project that's the longest since I worked on. And I don't know why. I just never pull it out. It's rarely fits any challenges. I'm always thinking that, oh, like this year I'm gonna wait. Because I want to have it as a zombie run piece, but it never gets put in because I find other projects in the meantime that I have worked on for challenges that is close to being finished, so I put them in instead, and this is just doesn't get pulled. But I do love working on it. It's on a 56 count. Yes, you heard correctly, 56 count. Pale yellow by Extrude Design is stitched 1/2, full cross. And it looks amazing. It's super tiny. Extrude Design, her fabric, I don't know what it is, but if it's the way she dyes it or just the holes look, it's a lot easier to see than a lot of other fabrics I have. Like I have 32 count fabrics where I struggle more to see the holes and find where they're supposed to be, especially if they're hand dyed, because then they sometimes can like scrunch up, making it difficult to see. But Extrude Design, at least not the ones I have, does that at all. Like it's like she's opening up the holes, so it's easier to see. So it is a joy to work on. The only thing that's like the big thing I don't like, it's on 56 count you can't do the pin stitch. You can, but it widens the other holes around so much that you're struggling to make the X over the pin stitch. So I kind of have to use other methods to start the flosses. And it's variegated floss, so I have to do one stitch at a time. But it's... sometimes I'm in the mood for that. Sometimes I just like to do big blocks of color, doing half stitch going one way and filling the X's going back. So it takes a little bit more brain power, like thinking where I want to go with the floss, doing one X at a time. But it's fine. I do love it. Every time I pull it out to work on it, I love working on it. And now when I see it, I absolutely love it, but then I never pull it out. But luckily, since I'm 99% of the time always focusing on my oldest project, this eventually will be my oldest project and I will get it done. Then we have Epic Storybook Princesses. I will insert a picture somewhat what it will look like here. And hopefully you saw what it was at the beginning of the year, because this is where we are at now. And I have mostly worked on this side. working down the sides. The last thing I did recently was doing this green border. So we have now 5 sections. So now I just need to fill in one of the characters just to make sure that the counting in the border and stuff is correct. Because I would hate to do all of the border and then realize there's a mistake like in the middle and have to rip everything out. Because I don't like having mistakes in my projects. So I will rarely fudge anything. I will usually frog and restitch. So, but I absolutely love this. And the reason I said somewhat what it's going to look like, it's because Snow White, that's here. So that's the same. But then in Cloud's Factory's picture of the mock-up, they have Cinderella here. And I chose to have her over here. Because I like to do chronologically the way you read. So you read left to right, top to bottom. At least here in Norway. Some countries don't read that way, but US, Norway, like all of Europe, do read that way. So yeah. This is on an 18 count fabric I hand dyed myself. I'm Flosstube itchy nose, always. I dyed it, I re-dyed it because I wanted it like a really dark blue, but then it ended up being a dark purple and I didn't like that. So I put the whole thing in chlorine to try and like get out the colors to try and re-dye, and when then the colors came out, I ended up with this color, and I fell in love with the color. I had never thought I wanted to do it on this color, but I did. So it's like it's a mistake that ended up being a good thing. So yeah. Love this one also. And the reason this isn't stitched on more is because it sounds weird, but some project I'm trying to save because they can be used in so many challenges. I kind of don't want to just finish them off because then I don't have them to use in challenges. Yeah, I know. It's so silly. It's so silly. I should stop and just focus on it. Lion King. It's a kit by Disney Dreams, but I changed the fabric because I got this kit from Julie at Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World. And she had started it on the Ada. And there was some mistakes and stuff, and I didn't want to fudge, and I was already thinking of doing it on an even weave because there's a lot of fractionals, and I don't want to do that on Ada. So I did. Started on a 32 count easy guide Swigert. 2/2, except for the lions and Rafiki, like the and on Simba, like his mane and the fluffy tail part, except those are 1/1. So teeny tiny stitches, and it looks, I really like how it's looking. Like, Yeah, close-up Simba looks a little bit weird, but when you get him on more of a distance, he looks really good. Because with the 1/1 stitching, I can really get the back stitching in a better place than what's charted. But that also means it takes a lot more brain power for me to kind of re-chart the back stitching to look good. Also, the 1/1 stitching, I am fudging a little bit so the colors flow better together. So yeah, I do love this one. And again, this is one, when I pull it out and work on it, I do a bunch and I love it, and then I never pull it out. Next up we have Frosty Forest by Country Cottage Needleworks. I will insert a picture of what it will look like here. Insert a picture of where I was at the beginning of the year, and the beginning of the year is also where I am at now. Because of the renovation stuff we had to do because of the rat problem, all my project I have on frames are currently unavailable. Some of them I was smart enough to like take off the frame, so I have them. But Tinkerbell, since I knew I was gonna UFO her, and Frosty Forest, because I didn't think I had the time to stitch on it this year for my A to C Stitch With Me's, I just left them on the frames. And I can't get the frames. So yeah, they're hidden away. And I'm realizing that when I'm opening the project bags and the fabric's not there. And I'm like, uh-oh. What happened? Oh yeah, they're on frames. That's what happened. Okay. Next up is Santa's Secret by Dimensions Gold Collection. It's a kit. And I'm using all the called for kit, and I will insert a picture of what it will look like here. And this is where it is now and was at the beginning of the year, because I haven't pulled this one out to work on so far this year. And I say so far because every time we're getting closer to Christmas, I get a real itch to pull this out and stitch on it, and that will most likely happen again. And my plan has always been like either for November or December. If I have finished some projects in the zombie run, this will be put in as a zombie run piece. But I like to work on it closer to Christmas, so it usually doesn't get any progress the other time of the year. So yeah, but do love this one. The fabric is it's stiff, like it can almost stand up by itself. So yeah, it's stiff fabric, but it's fine. I don't mind too much, and I love how it's turning out. I'm backstitching as we go. Then next up we have another project that I usually only like to stitch on when it's closer to Christmas. Magical Night by Teresa Wensler. So I will insert a picture of what it will look like here. And this is where it was at the beginning of the year and where it is now, because I haven't worked on it this year. I usually get the itch to either work on this like in January, February, or closer to Christmas. She's on an even weave that I don't know what count is. She stitched 2/2 except for the skin, which I converted myself, I'm pretty sure, to 1/1 skin. She doesn't have that much skin to show because she's fully dressed. It's cold outside. So yeah, this is one of the ones I started in middle, absolutely hated, worked my way up to the top of her, and loved stitching when I get to the top of her to work my way down. The problem now is I need to work my way up the Pegasuses and kind of work my way to the top of the sled back here. And that's why I started in middle, because there was no good points to start at the top. So yeah. And I want to stitch my way to the top and not just count, because it's Teresa Wensler, there's a lot of fractionals and stuff like that. I really don't want to miscount on this one, because it's going to be a pain to frog if I have to frog. So yeah, but I love how it looks. Teresa Wensler is genius when it comes to the colors she gets from the blends and just how every color looks. So it's a joy to work on just because of the colors. And then we have a project that I'm gonna take somewhat of the Q-snap because it's being worked on. It's Cinderella by Mirabilia. And it's the one I'm focusing on instead of Winter Queen, because I'm borrowing the pattern, and the person letting me borrow the pattern gave me the kit to do the whole thing on. And that's why I'm doing it twice, because I want to do it for her to show my appreciation of her borrowing me the pattern. So this is what it's going to look like. And this is what it's looked like at the beginning of the year. And here we are now. The border is fully complete. I'm just not taking off the last parts of the Q-snap because it's perfectly on here for the section I'm currently working on, which is this side of the dress. So I'm almost done. Like this part, we have done. The pattern is divided in two on the long side because it's Mirabilia. They have insane big patterns and not PDFs. But I have done photocopies and working on my iPad from the photocopy. So we have reached, like this is on the second page. So this golden border is the edge of the first page. So we're getting close to finishing that top page. And that's actually where most of the stitching is, because again, I am doing skin 1/1 and she has a lot of skin. And everything else is done 2/2, and it's on a 32 count Belfast linen by Swigert in smoky gray. Not linen, it's an even weave. Even weave. And I'm backstitching as I go, but I don't bead because I'm using a Q-snap. I had plans to actually stitch her on a Q-snap that was either a Q-snap or frames that was like Q-snap that was extended to fit all of her, because then I could also bead as I went along. Like I could have beaded this castle section because there's no more stitches to do there. But because of I had to put my frames away, I couldn't do that because then I couldn't stitch on her. So yeah, she's being worked on a Q-snap. And I absolutely love her. Again, the 1/1 skin, as you can see, the colors are flowing a little bit more than usual because if the shading is going like on a diagonal, I will do 3 of the stitches in the color it's called for, and the last stitch I will do in the color that it's like on the other side of the shading, making the skin look a lot more like it's flowing like skin basically. So it's not just that I'm totally converting just, oh, this is a square that if I did 2/2 I would do in one color, so all those 4 1/1 squares, it's in the same color. I'm not doing that. I'm making adjustments so the skin looks better, in my opinion. Other people have their opinion for not doing 1/1 skin, and that's totally fine. And some people think I'm crazy for doing all the skin 1/1 and enjoying it. Like Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff, she also usually does 1/1 skin, but she doesn't like it. I do. I actually do like it. I do have to say, when I only stitched the skin, like it was nice doing the zombie run, because then I could do like 400 stitches and then switch to something else, and then next month I could do 400 stitches and maybe come back to it later in the month, do 400 more stitches. So you kind of didn't just sit and stitch on the skin for 4 days straight, only doing 1/1 skin. Like I did other things in between, making it so the 1/1 stitching became a relief, because I had usually worked on mini still hair, which is a lot of confetti. Like even the sky, it's so confetti heavy that getting to Cinderella and doing the skin, it's a nice change of pace. And then we have a project then that I UFO'd this year, for this year, thinking I would get back to it, but I never have, because I'm making a few changes. So this is Fantasy World by Heaven and Earth Design by Alina Lazareva. Totally butchering that name. This is what it's going to look like. This is where it was at the beginning of the year, and still is, because I haven't stitched on it. So the big change I'm most likely going to do had to stop a sneeze there. The big change I have to do is, or want to do, is I started this 1/1 on 20 count. And it looks somewhat fine on a distance, but again, it's just a little bit too sparse for me. Just a tiny smidge too sparse. So I'm gonna change it to 2/1. on 20 count Ada. This is Easy Count by Swigert. And I hope that's going to make it look better. I also have some issues with the Easy Count Ada is super stiff. Like it's like the Dimensions kit. Like if I do like this, it stands basically on its own. Like I'm barely touching it on the side there. So yeah, it's stiff, and usually I don't mind too much with stiff fabric, but when it bothers me, it's when it's starting to shred my floss, and this is shredding my floss. So I have gotten a few tips to use a thicker embroidery needle, because then the holes will widen when stitching. So I'm gonna try that first and doing it 2/1. And if the floss is still shredding too much, I'm gonna wash it. I know a lot of people have tried to wash it in cold water and then the grid isn't supposed to go away, but it does. But at the same time, I'm parking, so it's not that big of a deal for me if I end up having the grid disappear on me. Like it's not the end of the world. So that is the plans for that one. Next up is Fairy Tale Land 2 by Soda Stitch. This is what it's going to look like and where it was at the beginning of the year. This is where we are at now. So worked my way over, so I have the whole top section done, just like a thin row of the top section fully done, back stitching and everything, back stitching as I go, and yeah, just now kind of the hardest counting parts are done. There's still a lot of counting because of the spacing of the characters and stuff, but it's like it was, I wanted the WIP just to see that I did have it sparse, the fabric on the edges, but it's good enough. And this is also one that I was always planning on having on a frame. So when I get my frames back, this will most likely go on a frame, because that's also why I did the top section. Because then, even on an Omnic frame, like where you need a little bit extra, that's not an issue because I have stitched the top section. So that part can kind of disappear under the frame without an issue. This one is stitched on a 25 count Lugana by Swigert in the colorway Granite. So I have 2 more projects in 2019. The first one is Halloween Calendar by Tiny Modernist, and I will input a picture of what it will look like and where it was at the beginning of the year here. And this is where we are at now. So this year I think I mainly finished this block right here. I'm converting this one a little bit as I go. I have like a somewhat plan because I'm not too a fan of the green, orange and purple colors. So I added in blue, so some of the green and some of the yellow, some of the purple and orange, I'm switching out to blue instead. So you can see the numbers I switched to blue. I did blue background on both of the moons, like a dark night sky type of thing. Having like a little bit more than just this block like fully filled in. So I might even do one more where I'm like filling in the whole block just because it looked odd having just one block fully filled in and none of the others. And if you don't feel that way, that's fine, but that's me. So yeah, converting as I go. Love how it's looking. And it's so much fun to stitch on. So yeah, looking forward to next year, because next year I'm gonna do 22 and 22, which means I'm gonna have a maximum of 22 projects that I can work on at one time, like an active WIP list. And I have to finish something before I can put something new in. And one of my thinking is like, I want my oldest Christmas and my oldest Halloween project to be on there, on the list, because I have a lot of Christmas and Halloween projects. So this will be on the list to work on like throughout the year, being a focus. And when this is done, the then oldest Halloween project will take its place. So yeah, I think that's going to be fun. And lastly, in 2019, we have Luna, which belongs to the Enchanted series by Buffy Threads. And it's, I will put in a picture what it will look like and where it was at the beginning of the year here. And this is where it's at now. This is a pre-printed Ada 14 count and is mostly stitched 3/1, except for the butterflies and these flowers down here and the back stitching. And the there's metallics in the wing. I hope it's picking it up for you. So yeah, and she looks amazing and she's almost done. Like if I put this on my zombie run piece, like it would be done this year. But I love her. So I don't want to finish her. That's the big problem. Like I'm finding excuses not to finish her because I love her so much. And she has been a joy to stitch from beginning to end. Like, and I have speed stitched on this one because I had some challenges where I had to do crazy amount of stitches in 24 hours. And I pulled this out and I speed stitched, and I still love her, because usually when I speed stitch I kind of get sick and tired of the project. So I think this one holds my record with doing 500 stitches in just over an hour. I think it was like an hour and 1 minute or something. I did 500 stitches. So yeah, she's fun. And it looks like she's maybe 2 colors, but she's actually 5 colors. You have 2 metallics color and 3 blue, 2 blue shades and a black color, black floss. Okay, so we have rearranged. Can continue. So 2022. I started the year with starting this project. It's called Aladdin by Donna Stitch. This is what it's going to look like and where it was at the beginning of the year. And here's where we're at now. And I love to stitch these donut stitches. When I sit down and stitch on them, it goes so quickly, like 1,000 stitches is easily done in a day. I have the record of the most stitches done in a day on this one, and I did almost 2,600 stitches. I think it was like 2,594 stitches in a day. And then it hit midnight, so I couldn't get those last 6 stitches in before midnight. So yeah, but I absolutely love this. It's so fun to stitch on. The colors are so vibrant, and yeah, it's on a 20 count Aida 2/1, and I love the coverage on it. That's why I want to switch Fantasy World over to 2/1, because I know I love it on this Aida, so I hope I love it on that Aida. Then next up we have a family patchwork sampler by Modern Folk Embroidery. I will insert a picture of what it somewhat should look like and where I was at the beginning of the year here. And this is where we're at now. And I say somewhat, because as you see, this is not monochromatic. I am converting as I go. So mainly I'm doing it with silks. Everything is silks for you, either small bits I got from grab bags or big skeins I have bought. So some of the colors I can tell you what is, and some of them I can't. If there's anyone you want to know more about, just ask me and I have the information. It's just too much to go through each and every one. So this is on a 32 count Buttercup Belfast linen by 2 seconds Crafty Kitten. So yeah, I'm close to getting over to this edge of the pattern. So, and I love how it looks. That blue and that main green color I'm doing, that's a silk. Those are both a silk hank from Silks for You, because I wanted to know that like the main colors I'm gonna use, that I have enough. Which most likely I shouldn't worry with how many colors I have ended up using, but like you do. I'm always worried I will run out. Using a big hang for a small project where I most likely could just have used a little bitsy bag and it would be fine. But it is what it is. Next up we have Leprechaun by Lola Lolita. I'm always getting that wrong. I will insert a picture of what it will look like here. And this is where we are at. and that is, I haven't stitched on it this year, so it's the same as I left it last year. It's on a 28 count white Pearl X linen by Swigert. So it's nice and sparkly, and I am gonna backstitch as I go. Then we have Santa's Train, which is project from Ultimate Cross Stitch Christmas, and the designer is Jenny Barton, and this is what it's somewhat going to look like and where it was at the beginning of the year. And this is where we are at now. So this is stitched on a 36 count Lakeside Needlecraft exclusive Falling Snow. And I'm stitching it 1/2. And I have converted the green in the locomotive to blue instead. And most likely the last wagon, the green one, which is like a pale, they used like a pale green. I don't like it. I'm most likely going to go for more of an emerald green. Because I think that will look better. So yeah, it's a fun project to work on. And it's not going to be this big. I just haven't cut the fabric because sometimes I'm lazy that way. D&D by Kick Stitches on Etsy. I will insert the picture what it somewhat will look like here. And this is where we're at. And I was the same at the beginning of the year. I haven't stitched on it so far this year. It's not a big stitch, as you can see. It's on a mystery linen that I got from, I think Link is my homeboy gave this to me. A really nice green color. And I say somewhat because the dragons, I know I'm at least converting one of them to blue, and I might change either the dice or the other dragon to another color, but either the dice or the second dragon is going to be red. I just haven't decided. I will take it as a go. Most likely I'm gonna have a blue and red dragon, and then we'll see what color I make the die. And then we have Winnie the Pooh and Piglet by Aurora CS. She's also on Etsy. I will input the pictures. And this is where we're at now. So I have worked on this quite a bit this year. Not like a massive amount, but like it's visible amount. I love these Aurora's stained glass pieces because it's in each square you just do one color, and I like that so much better than when there's a lot of just confetti in each of the sections. So I love how these are turning out. They look very childish and whimsical, and I love that. So I just bought this one and I started this and I really loved it, and when I stitched on it again this year, I ended up buying more from her because I know I'm gonna stitch a lot of them. I love working on them. So the same with the donut stitch pattern. So like these ones and the donut stitch ones, I don't care about having a lot of full coverage projects just because I love them so much. And the fabric is 18 count Magic Guide from DMC. And I don't like the Magic Guide, but I love stitching on the project. I just don't like the fabric. So I'm not gonna buy any more Magic Guide, but that's a good thing to know. It's nice to try out different things to see what you like and what you don't like. So next one is Star Wars Christmas ornament from Up to X Stitch on Etsy. She doesn't have it any longer on her store, but I was able to get it by sending her an message on Etsy asking if I could buy it. And I was able to buy it. So I will insert the pictures. And this is where we are at now. Unfortunately, in May, it was super busy, so I wasn't able to stitch on it for 4th of May. May the 4th be with you. Because this is one of the ones that if I am able to stitch on the 4th of May, it's going to be a Star Wars project if I have one. And I do. So yeah. Absolutely love this one. It's very fiddly because it's on black and that white will show through super quickly. So I'm going to show you my back. And you are gonna think I'm totally crazy. Like all of those single white stitches is started and ended by themselves. No jumping with the white floss at all. And like these little bit bigger motifs, as you can see, I'm tucking the floss behind, or making sure it's going behind the white stitches that I'm already doing. So yeah, it looks it looks almost identical on both sides. So, but that's me and my craziness. There's a reason this channel is called Rita Marie Stitching Adventure, because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. So, but I love how it turns out and what it looks like. So, I'm not mad that it's taking me a lot longer, and there's a lot of counting involved, and you have to be precise with like the single stitches in the counting, because it wouldn't, like, you wouldn't be able to see it, but you use them to stitch the next section. So you kind of need to be accurate. So there's no mistakes on this one. Then we have when I showed Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, that was the start of Mania. So this is my Mania projects coming to show. So next one is Moonflowers by Mirabilia. I will insert picture. This is where we're at, and it's the same as the beginning of the year. Because I haven't stitched on it so far this year, because as I said, I'm focusing on Cinderella. So, but the moon looks really good. I'm not happy with the called for green metallics. So I'm gonna have to, I think I frogged the sections I didn't like. I kept like some sections where there's yellow around, like in that star thingy. But there's a lot of green backstitching with the Krynic, and you can't see it. Like it doesn't look good. And it's not just this fabric. It's the same on the cover picture. Like, it's hard to see. So I am thinking of maybe trying to pick one of like the green colors she has in her dress and switch out with that, because it will still look like it belongs in the picture, but you will actually be able to see it. So I'm gonna have to convert that green metallic, which is going to be interesting because I don't have a big stash of metallics, and going by just colors on the internet is scary. So yeah. Then next up is Little House Needleworks monthly series. I will input a picture where all 12 of them is together on one picture here, and where I was at the beginning of the year. And this is how far I'm at now. So I think January was finished. So I did more on February. And this is stitched on 32 count vintage blue by Swigert. And it's just scrap pieces, so I hope I can fit all of them on this scrap. If not, I have one more that I can use to fit the last ones. So, but my thinking is I'm gonna make them into pillows individually, so there's no need for like a lot of excess fabric, because when I make pillows I usually like to use the Biscornu method when you're assembling with a whip stitch. Next up we have Baking Mice, which is a design by Doreen Jones. I will insert picture here. And this is where we're at. It's the same as the beginning of the year because I haven't worked on this yet. I had hoped to do this as a zombie run piece. You see, I had a lot of faith in finishing a whole bunch of stuff, which didn't happen because I had other stuff to do. So this is stitched on a 36 count Balarna linen. It's called My Little Dove by XJU Design. And again, it's one of those fabric that is just wonderful to work on. Absolutely love it. So, and yeah. And it's on a small count because my thinking is trying to get it as small as possible because I want to put it on a book and give as a Christmas present to be like a recipe book. And then with the book I'm gonna like write in some of the recipes I have, which people usually always ask me about, and give to my niece and mother-in-law and stuff like that. So I have other pictures that is also doing the same thing, so I'm not stitching this one multiple times. This is the Pancake Sampler by Ultimate Cross Stitch Samplers, designed by Joan Anderson. I will insert a picture. And this is where we are at. Done like 200 stitches this year, so we'll try and get a little bit more in. And it's stitched on a 35 count pale rose super fine Floba by Extrude Design. Next up is Mickey Mouse. It's a kit by X-Stitch EU, but the designer is Mandarin Designs. I will insert picture. The same as I was at the beginning of the year, because this hasn't been worked on yet so far this year. I'm not sure I'm gonna get around to it. This is really fun to stitch. So, but it's also a little bit hard because you have one pattern where all of the stitches are on one, and it's not like showing where the half stitches are, and then you have a separate one to show where the half stitches are, but the full crosses and half stitches is the same symbol, so you kind of have to look at both of the patterns simultaneously to know which ones you're gonna do full cross and which ones you're gonna do half stitch. So I don't like that version of dividing the full cross and half stitches, but it is what it is. Most of my patterns I'm always taking photocopies so I can work on them on my iPad in OneNote. I believe it's OneNote, and there you can use highlighter. So what I will do before I stitch a section, and I also do this on the Mirabilia patterns to mark off the stitches that are beads, I will mark them off with like a green highlighter, because then I know there's something special about those stitches, and that way I can like not have to look at both of them, because I have taken the information from one of them and collected them on one pattern instead. So, and I'm backstitching as I'm going, because that's how I like to do stuff. Then we have Little Gamer by Gecko Rouge. Artist is Medusa Dollmaker. I will insert a picture. And this is on a 25 count magic guide that came with the kit. This is not a kit that I bought myself because I wouldn't have chosen magic guide. I bought it secondhand. So I don't think I'm able to get it on Pattern Keeper, so I just work from a photocopy on OneNote. I'm thinking of maybe trying the whole take a picture of the page in Pattern Keeper to get it inserted, but the most used tool for me in Pattern Keeper is the searching of symbols, and I can't do that with the ones you have taking a picture from the pattern. So, and it's the same as the beginning of the year because I haven't worked on it this year. So, but do love this one. I absolutely do love this one. Then we have Alice in Wonderland by Donna Stitch. I will insert the pictures. This is where we are at now. This have been worked on this year. As I have said, I absolutely love working on these donut stitches. They're so much fun. I just really like them. And as you can see, like I jump all over, like I work from top down, but like I work some red and some green and some, so it's not like you get tired of the big blocks of colors, because I'm constantly changing what color I'm doing. So yeah, this is on 20 count white Ada. It's the same as Aladdin. And I believe it's the same as one that you will see later on, I'm not sure. Then we have Be Happy by Verbena CS. And I will show pictures. And this is where we are at now. So got some good progress in on this, and if I just focused a few days, I could get it done pretty easily. But I'm not, and I'm converting the colors because I'm just doing my own colors. I have like small leftover skeins that's where the color isn't 100% correct to the DMC colors. So I'm just using it here to use up those leftovers and just see how it turns out, basically. And if I need suddenly a red color for a prompt, then I do one of these in red or green or brown, like, yeah. So that's that one. And the fabric is a yellow mystery Ada 16 count, because I have counted which count it is. And it's just a yellow color. And lastly, in this section, I have Princess Serenity 2 by Tilton Craft, and the artwork is by Daniel Kordek. I will show picture here. And I'm the same place I was at the beginning of the year. I haven't worked on it so far. So all of this I did last year. So, and I made this little hole to have the rod of the Omnic frame in, because then you don't need as big of salvage. So stitch when I'm stitching. And lastly, in this section, we're not done with the 2020, but I divided it like, I know this I have shown you. So this is from July. So this is like from the beginning of the year until July. And the rest from August, that's when I really started to start a bunch of stuff. So that's most likely going to be in their own sections, like August, September, October, November, and December, because there's a lot. So I will, this is Pretty Little Produce. It was started of 17th of July in 2020, and this is what it somewhat will look like. So I worked more on the border mainly, and I'm converting the border to be a most sale parquet instead of the called for. So, and we have actually started getting the words at the bottom. So I don't know why. Every time I have pulled this out, I have been in the mood to just stitch, to not stitch like the fruits and veggies. I just have been in the mood to do border, and when I'm in that mood, it's good to do them. So I have. And then we get to August of 2020. So the first one I started in August is Moogle by K Warning or 8-Bit Stitch. And this is what it's going to look like. And this is how far I am. It's on a 14 count white Ada with star print on. It's like gold metallic star print on the fabric. So it's fun. I love Moogle. It's from a game called Final Fantasy, or a game series called Final Fantasy, and I absolutely adore the Moogles together with the Chocobos. So that's where I'm at, and that's the same as the beginning of the year. When we get to this section of the year where I just started a bunch of stuff, I haven't really prioritized like wanting to stitch on these. They have just been pulled out if they fit a challenge. Like if I need them for a specific challenge where my other project wouldn't fit, and a lot of them, like the Moogle and the ones I'm going to show now, don't have a lot of stuff on them, so you can't really use them for too much. So yeah. Next up is Deadpool by X Stitch Mania on Etsy. I will show a picture. And this is where I left it at the beginning of the year. It hasn't been pulled out, but it's so fun. I absolutely love it. And as you can see, I did some test stitching down at the bottom there to see if I wanted to do 2/1 or 1/1, and I ended up with 1/1 on 22 count Hardanger. So next up we have the Giant Harry Potter Sampler by Cloud's Factory. I will insert the pictures. And this is where we are at now. This one I have worked on this year. It has a lot of stuff in it, so I have pulled it out twice because it had something that I needed for a challenge, so it was pulled out once and then twice. So yeah, it's stitched on a 32 count vintage blue by Swigert. So if you remember the Little House needlework, like one of the cutoffs, the length is from this one. We have Easter Bunny House by Tiny Modernist. It's a companion seasonal piece to the Haunted Mansion and the Christmas one she did, the Christmas house. I haven't done the Christmas house, but I finished the Haunted Mansion. Was it last year? So, picture. And this is where it is now. And as you can see, I have worked on it this year. It's on a 14 count Ada that it's dyed by me. Next up we have the Farmhouse Christmas series by Little House Needleworks, and I will insert a picture of what it's going to look like. Beginning of the year, I now have done some more. So this is on a 20 count Ada Neresis, second edition by Chromatic Alchemy. I'm also doing these individually, each of them, but I'm done with the one I had planned to do this year, so the other ones will have to be started and finished next year. So they're not on my list right now because it's finished. Next up is the Castle Sampler by Teresa Wensler, and I will insert a picture of what it will look like. I haven't worked on it this year, so it's the same. It's stitched on I call it kit fabric because this is a kit I got from Stitching Mommy. She had got it from a viewer of hers, and when I told her that I had always wanted to stitch the Castle Sampler, I commented that. She was like, oh, then you can get the kit, and she was so kind to give it to me. We have Dragon with a Pearl from Lola Loda Shop. This is what I have so far. It's stitched on a 80 count Ada called Flavian Sky, which is mist dye by Chromatic. It's Flavian Sky mist dye from Chromatic Alchemy. It's bought on one of her sales, but I love it. And there's not much of that brown color in the middle, so my thinking was that I only wanted it at the bottom because then it looks like the dragon is laying on the sand in, or the shell he's laying in is on the sand. So yeah. Next up is The Time for Myself by Soda Stitch. I will insert a picture. And this is where I'm at. I haven't worked on it this year. This fabric was gifted to me by a very good friend. It's 28 count rose Monaco, and it's wonderful to stitch on. So I really like this one, and it's gonna be a project that eventually is gonna hang on my stitchy wall. Next one is Hedgehogs in Lingonberries. It's a Riolas kit, so I'm using all the called for kits, floss, colors. This is what it's going to look like. And this is where I'm at, and this is where it was at the beginning of the year. So just a teeny tiny start, because I had to basically frog all of that out because I had done it full cross, and it's supposed to be half stitches, most of that background. So I had to frog most of it out and then re-stitch it. So that is what it is. Next up we have the Twisted Rainbow Sampler by Northern Expression Needleworks. I will insert a picture of what it's going to look like, somewhat. This is where we're at, and was at the beginning of the year. I haven't worked on it this year. which I really want to because I love the specialty stitches. I have the specialty stitch version is stitched on a 28 count black Murano, which I got from the same dear friend as the rose one, Glenna. She's absolutely amazing, and I haven't seen her in for ages because we message each other on Zoom. So, or I'm never on Zoom anymore. So yeah, hope to see her again soon. And I am converting the colors to silks for you. So it's not the call for colors, but it's very close to what it should be, because I still wanted like the rainbow colors. Next up we have the Joy Needlebook by Tiny Modernist. I will insert pictures here. And I haven't stitched on it this year, so it's the same as in the beginning, and it's just stitched on an 18 count Ada, which is just a leftover from something. So, and then we have I call it the bookmark set because it doesn't really have a name. I got it by My Bobbin, and the designer is Olesha Gavrilova. I will insert pictures here. This is what we have so far. So I basically just marked off 4 of the cross stitches. And it's on a 14 count plastic Ada. The next one is 99 by Ink Circles. I will insert a picture. And this is how far I got. So just got the top of each bear bottle. So yeah, it's stitched on 20 count Ada called Roasted Nut by XG Design. And then lastly, in August, at the end of August, I started Sleepy Hollow by Tiny Modernist. I will insert a picture of what it will look like and what it was at the beginning of the year. And here we are now. So now I have all the 4 sections squared out somewhat. I'm gonna do the drums. So I'm gonna do the top of the drums on this side. And it's on a 60 count Ada called Steel Shadow by XG Design.
Okay, let's continue. I have a new microphone because it is a new day again. And my husband has the microphone I did use, so we're gonna try out this one. So if you have a preference of what microphone you like the best, let me know, and I will use that when I'm filming going forward. So, next up. We're now at September of 2020. And the first one I started is The Cooking Gecko by Little Room in the Attic. I will input picture here. And this is what it looks like now. This is just a scrap of a 16 count mystery Ada. And I'm gonna do the same thing with take the cross stitching and put on a book to be like a cooking book that's going to be given as a present. Then we have Deck the Halls by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. So I will insert a picture. And this is what it's looking like. It's on an Atlantica Depth 32 count Murano by the Crafty Kitten. And most likely I'm only gonna use half of this fabric, so I have something I can put on the other side. I haven't stitched on it this year, so this is like how far I got last year. Then we have the Fantasy Cell by Lakeside Needlecraft. The designer is Doreen Jones, but it was like released by Lakeside Needlecraft. So if you go to their website, lakesideneedlecraft.uk, you can buy it as a PDF. So I will insert a picture of what it's going to look like and where it was at the beginning of the year. And this is where we are at now. So this is the one of the project I only have done 200 stitches on so far. So this is going to, I'm going to try and get more stitches by the end of the year. So that border, it looks amazing. So far I'm really enjoying stitching on it. So let's hope that's keep going, because I know a lot of people don't like to stitch on the border on this one. Like it gets too tedious by the end. So, but so far I'm loving it. So hope it keeps going that way. So, and then we have Jack and Sally by Home Decor Cross Stitch on Etsy. I will insert a picture what it will look like. And this is where I'm at. It's on an 18 count Ada that I dyed myself. Stitching 2/1, just to, since it's almost like a silhouette piece, it's nice to just have a little bit better coverage on it. So yeah, so that's why I'm doing 2 strands on an 18 count. But it looks really good. So I'm happy with that. Then we have sunflowers. It's from Cross Stitch magazine. I will insert a picture if I can find one. I got. So it's not very far, and I'm not sure if this is also one that I'm going to restart eventually, but we'll see, because it's on a very stiff Ada and there's a lot of fractionals. I didn't know that when I chose the fabric, so but if I use like a very sharp needle, then usually it's not a big problem doing the fractional, so we'll see. I'm keeping it for now. And then we have Once Upon a Time sampler by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I will insert a picture here. And this is where we're at now. This, I have actually done quite a bit this year on it. And I also did quite a bit last year. It's just, when I'm starting, it's just really fun, and you get like a bunch of stitches when you just do 1 or 2 motifs. So yeah, I do like this one so far. So far I'm using all the called for colors. I might change it up doing some conversions, but we'll see. Because this one has, in each square you have the months, and I'm thinking of maybe trying to find, put the name of the fairy tales instead. And this one is on an 18 count opal Ada in the colorway Ether by Chromatic Alchemy. And then next up we have Happy Halloween Night by Jardin Privé. I will insert the pictures here. And this is where we are at now. It's stitched on an 18 count Ada that I dyed myself. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. This was originally intended for the fantasy cell, but then I figured some of those purplish colors would be just too dark for the fantasy cell, and there's a lot going on, so I just wanted a white one eventually. And then I found out that it's a perfect Halloween pattern, so I put this on. Okay, next one up is Silhouette Kingdom Hearts Keyhole. Yes, I know that's a handful. It's by Pattern Art Online on Etsy. I know somebody else asked me about one of the other patterns some while back, and she's no longer on Etsy, so hopefully you can find something similar if you search the name, but I don't know if you can. Pictures. And this is how far I am. Haven't worked on it this year, so, but it would be nice. This is really fun to stitch on when I'm just stitching on it. And again, we have one of those Ada that can like stand on its own. So, might give this just a soak in the water with some fabric softener, because that usually takes the worst of it out and makes the fabric a lot softer. So yeah, that's that one. And there's just so much going on all over the place. Next up we have TARDIS by Mandrink's Design, and I will insert picture here. And this is where we are at. I have this weird stitched border because when I dyed this fabric, I think I tried to see like if you could use the washing machine to get to rinse the fabric, and then it totally shredded on me. So yeah, put on an edge to secure that it doesn't shred anything more. So I haven't worked on it this year, but that's how far I got. Just love all the details in it. There's so much confetti going on, but I love how it's turning out. But it's a fun one, but it takes a little bit of brain power when I'm sitting down stitching on it. Then we have Christmas Village by Tiny Modernist, and I will insert pictures. And this is where we are at now. This is on a 16 count pearl gray Ada. So yeah, have the somewhat outlines of the 4 different lengths, and again this will be turned into drums, and gonna stitch the top of the patterns over here. So this is just extra fabric, but I don't want to cut it yet because of the fact this is gonna be WIP stitched together. You don't really need a lot of edge of fabric, and I like to save as much as I can. That's why there's not a lot going on the top either. So I have stitched in hand when I have done the top section. So I'm gonna cut that out when I'm assembling, because then I can cut like really close and get a good chunk of fabric still left on this. Next up is Just Before Bedtime by Lamplight Designs. I will insert pictures. And this is where I'm at now. This is a mystery even weave. I did count it to be like 36 count, but it's I don't think it's quite even over like in both directions, so it might be one of those MCG textiles cutoffs that I got in like a grab bag from somewhere. The colors I am changing to some Oasis floss that I acquired, which is they are like a rayon cotton blend. So you have that, if you have seen the satin floss from DMC, like that, it shimmers and looks really nice. So it's one of those, or it's those flosses mainly, 3 different ones. 2 blues and a pink, and but it is stitching better than the DMC satin floss. Like I can still use the DMC satin, but since probably this has a little bit of cotton in it, it just behaves a little bit better. Then we have Do Not Let the Muggles Get You Down. It's by Lolita Made on Etsy, and it's going to look like this. And this is where we're at now. This is an 18 count Ada that I dyed myself. It's just basically I had a lot of leftover colors when I dyed, because when I dye I usually do like, I don't know, 8 to 15 different fabrics at once. So what I did, I had this scrap piece of fabric that was originally dyed brown, and then I put it in chlorine so all the brown disappeared out, and you got almost the same color as that Epic Storybook Princesses. And then I just tossed it in a bowl and put some of the leftover colors and just put it in there, tossed it out, put a new one in there, tossed it out, and it turned out like this. And it looks amazing. So I'm a little bit sad that I don't know how to reproduce this. Because it's really fun, and it's a really nice one for like Harry Potter or Halloween inspired patterns. I love it. Then we have Bird of Happiness, which is from Riola's kit. So everything is the kit fabric and floss. I will insert the picture. And this is where we are at now. And this is a pre-printed Ada. It's a 14 count. And it looks amazing. I love this one. I haven't stitched on it so far this year. Not sure if I'm gonna get around to it, but I absolutely love it. And I know Miss Oh So Crafty, she stitched this one and finished it, but I had actually bought the kit before I saw her stitching on it. So, because I don't usually like to do what everybody else is doing, but I'm very picky when it comes to phoenixes, and this one is one of the ones I do like. So. Then we have Thine is the Trick and the Treat by the Prairie Moon. I will insert picture. And this is where we are at now. This is on a 46 count Bergen linen called Carnival by Extrude Design. So, wanted a really fun fabric with a lot of colors going on, because I'm stitching it with Silks for You PR70 or 070. And I don't have any plans to do any other colors, but we'll see. Maybe I do some changes, but I don't feel it needed when the fabrics have a lot going on in it. And it's a really fun stitch to do, but as with so many others, I haven't touched it yet this year, just because time flies. I had hoped to pull it out in October, but we're soon at the end, so I don't know if I'm gonna get around to that. Then we have Castle in the Air by Long Dog Sampler. I will insert picture. And this is where we are at now. This is the second take. I had this originally on a different kind of fabric that I ended up giving to Stargazer, which you will see later, and I put this on 18 count navy blue Ada instead. And I had originally bought some blue floss to do it in, and then I wasn't sure if I would have enough on the fabric that I had. And when I started the new one, I, for some reason, just picked up the white floss, and not sure if I'm gonna use the blue one or not. I might do just the white at the edge of the border, like at the borders, and then all the blue will be like in the middle. We'll see. I take it as I go. I don't always have big grand plans for things. I usually don't, actually. Then we have Advent Animals by Brooks Books Publishing. So I will insert pictures. And this is where we are at now. As you can see, I have done a bunch, including finishing off, maybe I should show the right side to you, finishing off Katie Kitty. Like, you know, you stitch with a pretty neat back when you can see the difference when just holding up the fabric. I think I have done that twice now, this WIP, showing you the back instead of the front to begin with. So yeah, this one was, I just have stitched a lot on it. Like, and it's not like I have stitched like, oh, going gangbusters 5 days in a row. It's more like, oh, this needs a challenge, and oh, I need this for a challenge because nothing else fits. So challenges this year have really loved Advent Animals by Brooke Books. And yeah, there is a lot going on with all the different animals. I'm doing all 25 of them. You probably only saw 24 because there's no good picture with all 25. Hopefully, when I get this done, there will be a good picture on the internet with all 25 Advent Animals together. So, and on top of having a lot of prompts and stuff, I brought this with me on vacation. So, because those squares was like really nice to just sit and backstitch when we were at my in-law sailing boat, because you don't really have a lot of room. You can't have a lot of different colors. So, it's not easy like to sit with a frame because there's usually people around you, and if I'm stitching on a frame I need a little bit space. So this one I could then just stitch in hand and like just scrunch it up to be as tiny as I wanted and stitch on the section I was doing. That's why that got so much progress so far this year. And the Advent Animal is on an 11 count Aida that I dyed myself. And I thought I would show you like how I'm starting to do stuff. So this is one of my, it's not a floss buddy, because I got this from Bags Plus. You can buy like book with a lot of these in. So you see it has these to be able to hang inside that folder. And but I'm doing this 3 strands over 1, and that really doesn't work with my master set because it's then so difficult finding a length very often that you have 3 strands. So what I do, I cut off a length of my master set and I divide it in 3 and 3. And then I have written down like on piece of paper that fits into these buddies, what symbol it is, what color it is, how many strands I'm using. If there's anything special like backstitching and stuff, I write it on here. So these are a little bit bigger because there's a lot of different colored backstitching in these Advent Animals, so I wanted to have more space to write on. And then I just chuck the ends with the 3 strands, if I only use a little bit from those 2 lengths with 3 strands, since one full thread is 6 strands, so I divided it in 2, so 3 and 3. Stitch with one of those a tiny bit, and then both of them is just tucked in here. So when I go and need this color again, I can just pull out one of those lengths and stitch with them. And if I don't get it finished, then I can just tuck it back in. And when I need more, then I just go to my master set, then pull out a full length again, cut it, and just put them in here. Just an easy way to deal with the whole 3-strand issue, because that's an issue if you go with a master set, believe me. Next up we have Grimm's Fairy Tales by Cloud's Factory. I will insert pictures. And this is stitched on a 20 count Aida called Dragon's Egg by Extrude Design. And I love 20 count Aida. I absolutely love stitching on it, so I'm so glad that Extrude Design, you can find her on Etsy. She actually has a fabric of the month where you can choose to do 20 count Aida. That's what I did. That's where this is coming from. And if you see any other 20 count Ada, which is hand dyed, that's from her. Like I have a lot of them, and I love to stitch on them. So far I'm using all the called for colors, and I'm saying so far because this pink color is really disappearing. Even though like it's against green, it didn't look like it when I did the floss toss, but it is, so not sure if I'm just gonna leave it or convert it. So far it's just one of those things that are a little bit like decoration, and you can see it fine in real life, you just don't, it doesn't pick up on camera at all. So yeah, a fun one. Done like 200 stitches so far on this year, so it's gonna be worked on more hopefully, but I'm not making any promises. Next up is Cinderella by Mirabilia, and I will show a picture. And yeah, you're probably thinking, well, I have seen that one before. You just showed me that. No, because I'm doing it twice. So you haven't seen this one before. So this is the second start, and it's on a 32 count Murano Moss Rose Opal by the Crafty Kitten. So yeah, that's all I have because I haven't focused on this at all. I'm trying to get one of them done first before tackling the other one next. Then we have Stargazer by Mirabilia. I will insert picture. This is how far I am. This is the same as the beginning of last year. And it's stitched on a 32 count Sunset by Barbarol Creation. You can also find them on Etsy. And this is a sparkly fabric. So doing skin 1/1, and the rest is 2/2. So she doesn't have that much skin showing, so she hasn't gotten any love this year, and most likely will not get any love this year, just because I have a lot of other stuff I need to stitch on, and she will get her time eventually. Then we have Midnight Away by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I will insert picture. This is where we are at. This is on 11 count Ada that I dyed myself, and there is a lot of conversions going on. I am stitching this 3/1, and then I decided to do the book pages 2/1, so there's a little bit sparse, so in real life you get a little bit of depth to them, like it looks like it is book pages. And all the stars and the start of the moon is in Glow in the Dark by DMC. There's some floss that was supposed to be a toile, but I had this black treasure braid in size number 12, so it's a really thick one, and it works perfectly on the 11 count Ada, so I figured I would use that instead, because there's not much other opportunities to use that number 12 braid by Treasure Braid. So Rainbow Gallery. Okay, we just are going to continue on. Magical Creatures by Cloud's Factory. I will insert pictures. And this is where we are at. That tree isn't like showing very well up on camera. You can see it somewhat fine in real life. But it's fine. As I said, you can't see it in real life. I might have to do some backstitching eventually, but I want to kind of finish the whole tree, because already with the brown tree trunk showing, it's popping a lot more than what it did. So I will just go with it and see in the end if I need to do anything with it. But it is supposed to be like a tree filled with snow. So it kind of works. So yeah. Love that one. Using all the called for colors, and it's on a 16 count Ada that I dyed myself. Next up is Disney Alphabet by Cloud's Factory. I will insert picture. This is where we are at. I think it's the same as last year, because I don't think I have worked on it so far this year. And here we have the same 3 strands issue, and you can see what I did in the beginning, like I put it on the fabric instead. The problem with that is, yes, I can usually guess what color the different floss is supposed to be, especially like when I put it beside where I have used them, but it's not a good way. So I'm gonna go over to the put the cards in the Floss Buddy and deal with the problem that way. So yeah, it's on 11 count Ada dyed by me, and as you can see, there's a lot of fabric I use that I dye myself. One, then I usually can get the exact type of fabric I want, and I do really love these light blue colors, and it's hard for me to get a good light blue color that I like, so it's easier to just dye it myself. Plus like the fabrics I have from other people that have dyed are like more special in a way, so I kind of want to use them on the perfect fabric, so I'm always saving them. I'm trying to be better about not doing that, because it's so silly saving fabric. Like, it should be used, so I am trying to use more of the fabric. Then we have Santa's Village by Country Cottage Needlework. I'm doing the whole series on one big piece of fabric. There's 12 increments in the series. And this is how far I am. So yeah. This could be another one eventually for like a nice travel project where I just stitch in hand and do like this border, this striped border going on at the top. Have not worked on it so far this year, but I hope to get to it in December, because then it's Christmas. And I usually like to stitch on Christmas stuff in December or November when it's closer to Christmas. Fabric on Santa's Village is 32 count lamb's wool linen. And I got all of the stuff from Patchwork Rabbit. Like, they have a program where you can buy the ones that are series. You can get them on like an auto ship program, so you get like X amount of patterns and with all the floss and fabric and stuff. Then we have Animal Almanac by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I will insert pictures. This is where we are at now. I love that cute little fox in the bathtub. It's on an 11 count Ada that is dyed by me. That's now this isn't 11 count Ada. It's a 16 count Ada. I looked at the wrong, on my list I looked at the wrong place. So yeah, 16 count Ada dyed by me. Then we have Sleepy Hollow by Glendon Place. Insert picture. And this one I absolutely love. I absolutely love it. I'm stitching with the called for anchor floss if I have it, and if not, I'm using the DMC conversions for the anchor floss I don't have. So yeah, it's on a 32 count Haunted Cashel linen by Picture This Plus. And the moon and stuff that's going to be in Karen Water Lilies will also be in the called for, I think. I might change it out to a Silks for You, but I think it's going to be in the called for. So yeah, I love this one. I haven't gotten very far. Basically, this is the width of the pattern. And I still have half of the fabric left afterwards. But yeah, haven't worked on it this year so far. If I get the opportunity to work on it in October, I am taking it, but I'm not sure if I get the time. And with Sleepy Hollow, that's the last project I started in October of 2020. So we now have done September and October. I actually didn't start that much in September because just before bedtime was the first one in October, and this is the last one in October. So I did a lot of starts in October. Fifteen new starts of October 2020. So then we enter November of 2020, and this is Unicorn. It's a kit by Obeh, O-B-E-H, and I'm using all the called for kit stuff, and I will insert picture. And this is where we are at now. And I'm pretty sure I worked on it this year, this one. And I love how it's turning out. Like, there's not a lot of color used. There's like two gray colors. There's one white color. And I think there's like 6 blue colors. 6 or 7 blue colors. And it makes up this whole picture. And I just love how using all those different blue shades can get so much detail in the unicorn. It looks amazing and I love stitching on it. It's confetti heavy, as you can see by all the park threads, but it's absolutely stunning. And you have half stitches and full crosses, like in the hair at the edge here, and you get so much depth. So it's on a 14 count, like navy blue Ada most likely. So yeah, love, love, love this one. Then we have Medieval Mansion by Tiny Modernist. I will insert picture. And this is also one of those in the houses series that she did, the Haunted Mansion, the Christmas, the Easter Bunny house that I showed earlier. This is Medieval Mansion. It was released by Lakeside Needlecraft, I believe. This cell. And this is how far I got. Have not worked on it this year. No, I'm lying. I have worked on it this year. I'm pretty sure I did work on it this year. So yeah. It's on an 11 count Ada that I dyed myself. Next up we have Family and Friends by Fox and Rabbit Designs. Linen and Thread Mystery Cell of 2020, I believe. It's on a 22 count white hardanger picture. And this is where I'm at. And as you can see, I had to frog this big thing out. That was originally stitched, the whole thing. Had to frog it. And then I stitched in some other places. And I'm using this mainly when I have a specific color I need to do, because I'm just converting it as I'm going. Just using colors that I feel like. So I found this variegated for the butterfly. And this one is a variegated DMC. So, but I'm not using all variegated. And so far, I really love how it's turning out. And when I choose the colors, I usually choose them thinking of a friend. Like that either I connect with that color, or it's like I know they like. So this purple butterfly right here, that's Sammy J. Sammy Joe. She loves purple, and for some reason when I saw that color I was just thinking of her, so I put it on the butterfly. Then we have Fairy Tale Book by Soda Stitch. I'm gonna insert picture. And this is where we're at. And this whole, I think I'm gonna use the whole length of this. It's not as long, but it's like really long one. And it's on a 46 count. What's the name? Dark Mountain. 46 count Bergen linen in Dark Mountain by Extrude Design. And I love how teeny tiny it looks. It looks amazing. I'm stitching it 1/2. So stitching on 1/2 on 46 counts equals stitching on a 23 count. So yeah. Really love this one. Haven't pulled it out. There's a big chance it will be pulled out because there's just so much going on. But if not, it's not, and I can live with that because it's gonna get its time eventually. Then next up we have Humans After All by Cloud's Factory. I will insert picture. And this is where we are at now. Only done 200 stitches so far this year. And I say only because I did a challenge where I needed 200 stitches, and my plan is to, all the project that I did 200 stitches on, I am going to pull out and get like at least a total of 500 stitches, most likely around 700 stitches. So all the called for colors except that blue border, and that's in an hand dyed by Rolanda floss, and I don't think it has a color name. If it's playing along with me, it's number 23, color number 23. So you might be able to ask her for that. She's on Etsy. And the fabric is 16 count Ada, dyed by me. Then we have Halloween Parade by Tiny Modernist. I'm gonna insert pictures. This is where we are at. So I have just recently worked on this one. Needed a challenge with a ghost. This has a ghost, so I pulled it out now in October. Had approximately 1,500 stitches at the beginning of the year, and put in another 1,500 stitches and almost done the second part. This was a Sal stitch along. So this is the one part, this is one part, and then there's a third and a fourth part. So if I keep this going, it's not long until it's finished. Like, this one stitches up very quickly. And love how it looks. That little owl right there, it's so cute. And I love the fact that it has a zombie. Like, there's so few Halloween patterns that have a zombie, so I really like this one too. That's one of the reasons I bought it. And yes, I have a lot of Tiny Modernist, Cloud's Factory, and Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, just because I really like stitching the designs. This is on an 11 count Ada that I dyed myself. During our conversion, it's supposed to have a 12 floss, but I didn't want to use a 12 floss because that's difficult to get a hold of and it's really expensive. So instead, what I'm doing, I'm stitching this 3 strands over 1. So I'm using 2 strands of black and then 1 strand of the E310, the metallic one, combining them so it's 3 strands and you get a little bit of metallics in there, and doing the same with the B5200. 1 strand of the metallic and 2 strands of the normal one. Next up, Autumn Sampler by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I will insert pictures. And this is where I am at now. This is the full width of the design. And it's stitched on 18 count navy blue Aida. Try and hold it here so you can see a little bit better without the glare. So, yeah. The first block is fully finished and just marked off the other blocks basically to get like a view of how it's looking. And then we have Welcome by Stitch Line Shop. I will insert picture. And this is where we are at. So we have the beginning of wizard, and witches. This is beginning of the W down here. And it's on a 14 count gray Aida. It's the same one I did my Haunted Mansion on. So I don't know what it is because I got it as a present. So, but I love how it's looking. So it's a fun one. And I'm gonna stitch on it when I'm stitching on it next. Not sure. Then we have QS Fairy Sisters by Heaven and Earth Design, artwork by Julie Fain. Picture. And this is where I am. Have not worked on it this year. It's on a 25 count, easy count even weave by Swigert. Lost the words there for a second. And then we have one more project of November of 2020. This is Tiny Tidings number 14, X1 XIX by Lizzie Kate. I will insert picture. And this is where I'm at. This is on an 11 count Aida that I dyed myself. And I'm converting this in all kinds of weird colors. Like I'm doing a wool floss for the red hat and white wool for his beard. So yeah, it's just doing conversions because I can. I thought it would look cool. So haven't worked on it this year, so but they're fairly small, like there's 5 in one. I'm gonna do all 5 on this piece of fabric, but they're gonna be finished individually, so I'm not worried about these because I will get around to them eventually. Okay, we are down to December of 2020. 17 more projects to go. You can see how I ended up with 115 at the beginning of the year. I have finished 10, not approximately. I have finished 10, so you're seeing 105 projects in this WIP parade, and some of them are gonna be UFO'd until next year, so most likely I am going to be under 100 projects by the end of this year. Next year I have plans to not start too many new projects, at least not until I have finished something. So first up of December 2020 is Beauty and the Beast by Donna Stitch. I will insert picture. And this is where I'm at. So, worked on it this year. And I love how it's looking. Absolutely love working on these donut stitches. This is on a 20 count white opalescent Aida. So it's sparkly. That's the other two are not sparkly. They are on a different 20 count. So, but love it. Next up is Welcome to the Forest by Country Cottage Needlework. I am doing all of them on one big piece of fabric. I will insert the picture here. A 40 count lamb's wool linen with all the called for floss and fabric. Also got this from the Patchwork Rabbit, so they kind of kitted up for me. So I get it gradually and then it's fully kitted up eventually. So yeah. Love how it's looking, and I managed to get a good chunk done this year on it. Still a lot to go, but it's fine. I don't need to finish everything right now. I enjoy stitching on them. So stuff like this, like, I don't want them to finish because I love stitching on them so much. So I'm totally fine with them not being done. Next up is Home of a Needleworker by Little House Needleworks. I will insert picture. This is how far I got last year. Haven't worked on it this year. It's on a 16 count Aida that I dyed myself. And I'm converting this in all kinds of different colors that I just have in my stash. Because I am trying to use what I have from stash instead of buying the called for colors. Because I have a big stash of fancy floss and I need to start using them. Now we are getting around to the first two of the Cooler Design Studio samplers. I have all 4 of them. They are all stitched on a 40 count white linen. I am some sections I am stitching 2/2 and some sections I am stitching 1/2. It's because I started 2/2 thinking it would be fine because it's basically 20 count. But it would be fine if it was just X stitches, but there is a lot of back stitching on top of it, and that just gets a little bit too hard to do when it's 2/2. So I have decided to kind of do the border parts 2/2 and then the non-border parts plus the blended floss, because they have some blended floss. The blended floss will be 2/2 and the borders, and the rest is 1/2. So the first one I started was Winter Sampler. It's gonna look like this. And this is where I'm at now. All of these I have worked on so far this year. And I love how it's looking. I love working on it when I'm pulling it out. But it's one of those where if I'm pulling it out, I really should dedicate like 3 or 4 days just stitching on it, because there's you kind of need to get in the rhythm of these. So all of them, when I got to the end of the 500 stitches and I needed to put it away, I was like, no, I just started to enjoy stitching on this. And then I had to put it away. And then the second one I started right after Winter Sampler was the Spring Sampler. It's gonna look like this. This is where we are at. So, not enjoying this one as much. I don't like this gingham border, but it's fine. I just need to get it done. And then it's done and I can enjoy all the other stuff I like. Also, I'm not too fond of stitching flowers, and this one has a lot of flowers, but it's I think it's going to be fine. It has a lot of other stuff also, so I'm really looking forward to getting to the bottom with the chickens and stuff, and the bunny driving the tractor. I think that's so cute. So I have a lot to look forward with this. Okay, then we have Penguin Party by Stitching Jules Design. I will insert picture. This is stitched on an 18 count white Aida, 2/1 full crosses, and as you can see, I am traveling on the back. My plan is to, when it's done, to do one of those you iron on and do it in like one of those darker colors, because then you won't see the black traveling floss. This has a lot of these individual stitches all over the place, and I didn't want to do all of them like I did the Christmas Star Wars Christmas ornament piece. Yeah, I think this is really cute and I like it. It's fun to stitch on. Then we have Music Teacher's House by Ronnie Rowe Designs, and it's in the same style where you're only using one color of floss. This is a pen and ink design, they are called, and this is also pictures. And this is also an 18 count Aida. Have not worked on it this year. So, because I had to start both, because for some reason I thought I would get one of them done, and then I needed one in backup just in case the first one got done. I don't know why. I have a bunch of projects that have almost just all black, so it's not like there was an issue. But anyways, love these. Super fun. And they are gonna get done eventually. Then I have a project that I don't have with me. I'm not sure where it has gone off to, but I forgot to put it on my no new starts WIP list, so I haven't been able to stitch on it this year, even though it is started with over 200 stitches. It's called Home for Christmas by Mill Hill. I have the pictures of what it will look like and where I was at the beginning of the year, so I'll insert them here. So, and it's stitched on perforated paper that came in the kit, and all that called for, it's a Mill Hill, it's a kit, so everything called for is being used. Then we have Warrior by Firewing Design. I will insert picture here. And this is what it's looking like. It's on a 38 count My Little Dove by Extrude Design. And the reason I started it like this is because I am thinking of either mirror this one or stitch another dragon facing this way on the other side. And if not, it's not a big deal. Like, I still love it on this fabric. And I am using a Mosaic silk called George. It's a purple one, and it just shows off blue on camera no matter what I do. But it is purple. Like, it's 550. Like, it's DMC 550 in the colors. But as you see, it's just showing blue. Nope. So it's one of those weird ones where the camera is just not picking up the right color at all. Then we have Little Fairy by Lanarte. I also have called this Silhouette Fairy because I couldn't find the name, and then I found the name eventually. It's a kit by Lanarte. It's gonna look like this. And I'm stitching it on all the called for fabric and colors in the kit. And it's probably a 25 count linen, and it's stitched 1/1. And it's stitched with, does it say anchor? I have a feeling that it's black anchor floss in the kit. I'm not sure, but that's my feeling. So yeah, a lot of fun, just easy one to pull out, especially if I need a lot of stitches quickly. Then we are back to the last two Cooler Design Studio samplers. So the summer sampler is pictures here. This is where I'm at now. So as you can see, I did work on it this year and love how it's looking. I love those different seashells and stuff at the top. A lot of fun. And then next up we have Autumn Sampler. I will insert picture. Where I got to on this one. Really fun. Love stitching on it, which I probably am saying on all of these, but I do. So yeah. And then we have a big one. This is, I'm just calling it Chibi Disney Princess Series. It's by Unique Door Signs, and it's because it doesn't have a name with all of them together. But I'm doing all of them on one big piece of fabric. I will insert picture of all of the pictures. This is where I'm at now. This is on a 22 count hardanger, just plain white. And I have the list of which order I'm gonna do them in. Like, this is just the sizes and stuff, because I had to put them, like the widest ones I have on this row, and the second, and yeah, and the how long they were is like these stitches and stuff. So yeah, do love them. Have just started on Jasmine. She's in the top left corner. We are getting closer to the end. This is 5 Disney princesses by C. Anna cross stitch. I will insert a picture. And this is what I have so far. And as you can see, this is a big piece of fabric. It's on an 18 count Aida because it uses blends. So I wanted to do full cross, which means I didn't have a big enough 20 count Aida, and I wasn't sure 22 count would work, so I went with 18 count. So it's gonna be big. It's not a big problem. It's just, it's a pain to get into the project bags and stuff because it's so big. And so yeah, this is one of those, when I pull it out, I just want to sit and stitch on it for a month because it's awful to get on the frames and stuff. So, so yeah. But love how it's looking and turning out, and it looks almost exactly as the cover picture. It's so amazing. I love, and also the mock-up that Pattern Keeper is showing, it is showing like it's almost identical to the cover picture. So it's going to be so much fun to stitch when you have like all of that details and it really looks like it should. She have done a really good job with charting this this pattern. Like, there's no stitches you feel like are just wrong. Like, you don't understand why you have like one stitch of this, because all of the confetti you are doing, it ends up looking like exactly how it should look when you get all the colors blended together. So it's amazing. And it doesn't feel like she has unnecessary amount of confetti. Like, it feels like she has removed confetti where she can, which is nice. Then we have 3 projects left. This is Moonlight Bunny by Smart Cross Stitch. Picture. Is what I have. This is stitched on 32 count vintage blue Belfast linen, so it's one of those cut-offs from the big one I used for the giant Harry Potter sampler. Have not worked on it this year, but it's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of specialty stitches on it, and my thinking is finding floss for that. It calls for a variegated floss. I don't remember what, but I was thinking I'm just going to use what I have from my stash. So yeah, love this one, super cute. And then we have Little Bunny and Bird, also by Smart Cross Stitch. You can find them on Etsy. I will insert pictures. Have not worked on it this year. So, but this also is same designer, same style. It's Mystery Even Weave. And already started to do Jessica stitches. Right here, there's Jessica stitches. The bird is fully done. So that's fun. Really, really fun. Love working on this. And I used the bead on the eye of the bird instead of French knot, because I thought that would look really cute. So yeah, love these, tiny, cute. And when I found this one, I managed to find the Home for Christmas. So now I have it. It was just in a bag that I didn't think I had it, but apparently I put it in that bag because it's just a teeny tiny bag, so it's nice to have those really small projects so they don't disappear in the big projects, because I have a lot of big projects. And then lastly, the last project I managed to get to at the end of the year. It's Full Metal Alchemist by Smart Cross Stitch. Same as the previous two, but it has a different designer. I will insert picture. Cross Stitch have several different designers in their store. So this is where I am at. Done 200 stitches so far this year. Gonna try to get a little bit more done. And it's on a 32 count easy count by Swigert. And my husband, he absolutely loved this one. When he came in while I was working on it, he was wondering what I was stitching, and I showed him, and he's like, I like that one. I'm like, I know, because you like anime just like me. So, stitching this 2/1, so the grid isn't really necessary, but 2/1, no, 2/2. And it has a lot of blends, and it has half stitches and full crosses and fractionals and a bunch of back stitching. So it's one of those really nice designs where you're gonna get a lot of depth. And that, y'all, it's all my projects. Ooh, it has been a lot of them. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you had fun. I did. We're at the end. Thank you all so much for joining, watching me. Hope you had fun. As I said, I did. Even though it's not going to be fun to clean all of this up. The positive thing is, a lot of the projects that didn't have real project bags, or the ones where I have put 2 or 3 projects in the same bag, I have now organized a little bit better, so some of them have gotten real project bags, and the ones being together is the one being close together on my WIP list. And I think that's going to be a good system for when I need to find my projects, because it has been a little bit chaotic sometimes finding a project. I don't have 100 project bags. Not planning on getting 100 project bags. So that means I need to WIP down. And that has always been the plan. So I have a lot of projects that I love, and next year is going to be a fun year. We'll just see what happens. I have some new starts planned, but not like a whole lot of them. And hopefully I get some more finishes. Thank you all for being here, joining, especially if you lasted until the end. And I will see you later. Goodbye.